And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fandom Harbor. I'm here with Felicity Pobell.
Pooh
I keep
Bell, like Pooh
Poobell,
Bear.
Pooh Bear. Winnie the Pooh Bear.
Okay.
There we go. And Dan on tap, the man with the best beer in the world, or at least he knows of it. How's it going?
Going good. I'm
Yeah.
glad we finally got to the Superman
Yeah,
Same.
yeah,
because that
yeah.
that marketing
hmm
season was long.
Yeah,
It, agreed.
what? It was long, but I gotta say, it was one of the better marketed films I think in a while. Because there's been a lot of movies that have come out in the last 2 years, 3 years, and they suffered from lack of marketing. I think many of them. I don't know. Am I wrong about that?
Uh, in my
Mhm.
opinion, you are wrong. But hey, we
Not all of them.
all opinions are welcome.
Sure,
I mean,
sure, sure. Mm,
I feel like F. I mean, I was like F1 for example. For example,
mhm.
I was like just that marketing has dominated my feeds everywhere. So
I did not see much of that at all. So you know what? I think the tracking thing is really not um, working out for some people because I don't save cookies to a lot from a lot of websites. I don't have the option turned on for a lot of social media for them to track me and do advertising based on that. So I think when all that stuff is turned off, perhaps I miss some things that are actually out there, you know,
That's
in terms of
probably
that.
better. That's probably for the better, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
yeah,
so as well. But it also, I guess, proves a point where unless everyone opts into this thing, right? The methodology that they're using to push some of these intellectual properties is just probably not going to work out for them
we also
in the
don't
long
want
run.
them to accidentally hear wrong. Like you might say like foundation, and they may start trying to sell you makeup or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, there's also that too. First episode of that was solid. By the way, just came out.
I'm about halfway through. I got a little delayed today, so
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with what I'm seeing so far because I was worried season two with its drop off. I thought season three would maybe come back shaky, coming back
mhm.
pretty strong. So that was
I
cool.
did see the an appearance by a certain Star Trek alum, obviously. So that far into
Yeah,
the episode. So
yeah. There's
Okay,
huh?
without spoiling anything, because I'm not watching the show, but I did catch a
Yeah.
little bit of advertisement on
Okay.
Foundation.
Okay.
I happened to see Lee Pace, and he was looking a little bit like the dude.
Yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
happening with that?
So okay, there are okay. So there's an empire in Foundation, right? Like a galactic empire, and the emperor is actually played by three different people at the same time. Not to give away too much, right? So they're like it's like a cloning thing, right? It's something that you see from the very beginning is very evident. It's not something that's hidden, right? There's a very young version of him. There's a middle. I don't want to say middle aged version of him, but let's just say a mature version of him, which is a version that you saw, looking all how do you say Tarzanish, I guess you could say, right? And then there's an older version of him, and so they all cycle through, as the older one gets to a point where he's dying, the other one, like takes his place, and then they pull out a new clone to take, they just keep getting replaced over time. So I mean, this book slash show spans hundreds and hundreds of years.
So you're
Um,
saying it's like a Mickey 17 type of thing? When
Something like that.
Wait,
Yeah, that's right, Nicholas. Like so Dawn, one
yeah,
is called Dawn, one is called Day, the
yeah.
Tarzanish looking one now is called Day, right? And the older one is called Dusk. So in season two, they all took kind of like their own little interesting paths that were very different than season one. In season three, you're kind of seeing like Lee Pace's character, his version, even more so like going more off the deep end as he did at the end of season two, going into this like I don't know, trying to be this alpha male, prove his worthiness of existence kind of thing. I think that's what's kind of going to play out with his character over this season, maybe, from what I've seen. Um, I don't think that gives away too much about it overall. It just kind
No,
of
I
gives a
mean
breakdown.
that's I mean the premise basically like that kind of gets set up early on in season
Yeah,
one. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you learn more about how long it's been happening, the mechanisms in which they go by to
Yeah.
keep it, together, if you will. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I highly recommend it. If you can get through season 1, the beginning of it, like, it picks
mm,
up pace really well. Season 2 is kinda hard, I will admit, but by the end of it, again, for me, it was well
mhm.
worth trying to, stretch
Yeah,
through, like.
I would say like the plot payoffs definitely pay off by the end of the season in both
Yeah.
cases for these first
Yeah.
two seasons.
Yeah. And, there's a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly this all connects to, like, iRobot in some way, like, from, like, the beginning of the Earth's history or something like that. I don't know if it's true or not, but some people where I was reading on the forum, they were saying that, there was some kinda connectivity between the robots and iRobot and the I guess, the robots that kind of exist in this particular time frame as well, but I don't know if that's true or not. He did write both the books, so it's
Yeah.
the same universe. Yeah,
Yep.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Um,
And Nicholas is he's a book reader and an approver of the show, which is good. So, and I mean, again, a lot of people would dare say that the sci-fi that Apple's pushing out is living up
oh,
to its hype, basically. So
oh yeah, for sure. What was that one show that they released with about the was it Dark Matter? The
that's still on my
the
list. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
Oh man, that one is so good. That is great. I don't know if we'll get a second season of that. I don't know if it's even needed. But I
Mm.
think I think if there was any show that I didn't want a season 2 for, and I didn't think it really needed it, and I was happy with how it kind of progressed from beginning to end, it would be that one. Like, Dark Matter was really good. I
Yeah.
think bookend
I gotta finish
bookend.
getting through Silo first, and I'll go back to that. I think.
Yeah, 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 definitely. Let's hop into to Ironheart first. Let's
All
let's
right.
get this let's get this out of the way. Let's get this out of the way. Um,
Confirmed.
yeah. Yeah, so we finally got Mephisto, and I gotta say, of all the places that Mephisto would have shown up first, I did not expect it to be in Ironheart. I did not expect all of the magical connections in Ironheart. I really didn't. They kinda came out of left field with that, and it's not bad, it's not terrible, it was enjoyable, but I did not expect that. That was one thing about the show I did not like, I wholeheartedly didn't think that they would go the I don't wanna say horror route, but, the mystical route with Ironheart, especially in the season 1. I didn't think that it would be a thing. Mm.
You know what was weird about this
Yeah.
show is
Mhm.
that they managed to call out all the people that she really needed to speak with or interact with in order to solve her problems, but for some reason she just refused
Yeah.
to actually reach out to them. Like they
Mhm.
called out Doctor Strange, they
Mhm.
called out actually I'm kind of surprised they didn't call out Wong, but that's another
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
Right. He's
you
a
know,
sorcerer supreme, actually. He is
yeah, he's the
it's
Sorcerer
not
Supreme.
yeah, it's not strange right now. He's supposed to
hmm
be sorcerer supreme, so I don't it's
Yeah,
interesting.
Strange is running around with Clea right now.
and
Yeah.
she didn't call Shuri.
Nope.
She even tried to play out that phone call that she
Yep,
would have
she did.
made to
Mhm.
Shuri. But I,
hmm
I couldn't even muster up enough give a shit to hate this. I
Yeah.
thought I surprised myself and I found out that I felt like it was mid. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I just did not connect with this character at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Yeah.
And a lot, like a lot of other people are saying, it feels like she's a straight up villain in the show. Do you guys
Yeah.
agree with that?
I feel like
Mm-hmm.
they had a hard task in connecting the dots of her origins in the comic
Mm-hmm.
and, like, coming up with a good solid origin story for her in the MCU, because in the comics, right, she basically stole Stark Tech, right? And she reverse engineered it. I don't know what's going on in my eye. My eye's like tripping on me. Um, so she wasn't exactly, you know, the best
Mm-hmm.
example of a superhero in the comics, when she first got on the scene either, you know. But when you watch live action stuff, I guess what it really does for you, it kind of changes your perspective a little bit because it takes you out of this frame of mind that you're looking at a character in a comic book and you're now looking at a person actively doing something, right? So I think there's like a shift in your perspective. So yeah, she does come off kind of like a villain. I mean, honestly, she did villainous things, right?
Like
Yep.
straight up, I mean, she was responsible for Zeke ending up in jail.
Yep.
Didn't really get him out. Didn't really
No.
try to get him out. It was the
No,
hood that ended up
no,
getting him out.
she was uber
And
selfish. Yeah,
yeah, she
Yeah. A
totally
hundred
was, and
percent.
he called her out on it,
Yep.
which
yeah,
I loved. That
yeah,
he just said, "Look, you're the most selfish person. I don't want to deal with you anymore." And then when we get down to the end,
yeah,
I was just like, "What is this?" The deal with the devil.
yeah,
Literally.
yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
Yeah.
They kind
Yeah.
of,
Yeah. I
yeah,
feel that. I mean, yeah. I think we all like. I mean, her actions definitely do not like evoke, any kind of, you think about like, Tony's last, act, right?
yeah.
And you think about like, her having the same, prefix or modifier in her, quote unquote hero title, if you will, basically. And it's like, yeah, it's definitely an odd juxtaposition for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they were trying to give her an arc where she started off shaky and then she ended up not being shaky, but they just went ahead and just started her off shaky and then they just went ahead and just pushed her all the way over the cliff. Because we get to that last scene and honestly, I don't expect it to go down the way that it did, Um, but she went full tilt. So
Hmm.
and we don't know if we're getting a season 2, right?
Nope.
So, however this develops, it'll have to develop, further along in the movies, or the show will have to come back so we can see more of it, or they just dump this
Do
because
you feel
Hmm.
like we're going to see her in the next you know, trio of movies, the Avengers movies that are
I
coming up?
really, I really don't think
I
so. I could
I
be
don't know.
wrong. I could
I
be
feel
wrong.
like I feel like Secret Wars, if anything,
Yeah,
basically at this point, because like I just don't see how there's so much like preparatory plot they have to get to Secret Wars that has to get done, and putting in like
yeah.
honestly a such a kind of a she's tied up with magic. I get that, but but she's not tied up enough with it that she would need to basically be there, like as part of either Doom's plot or trying to counteract that plot. Basically, I just don't see that happening.
Well, they need bodies in terms of battles, right? Because if you're
Right,
doing Secret Wars, you're doing Battle World, and if you're doing battle,
right.
you need variants and you need other characters who aren't a variant because at some point
Hmm.
if you got like 50 variants of one person and they all look alike, that's going to be kind of stupid, I think.
Yeah, and
Um
that's why I agree. Secret Wars thing is the appearance, if anything. I mean,
yeah, so
Ironheart supposedly closed off Phase 5 too, so it's like
yeah,
having a season 2. Like, how does that play with you know Fantastic Four, which is theoretically the start of Phase 6?
yeah. Well, overall, out of it, like a 10, I'm going to do 10 grading scale, right? Overall, for me, I think that Ironheart was a 6 out of 10. Okay, and I'm saying that, but I'm also going to say that I think it was better than She-Hulk. You know, and I'm saying that to say, like, She-Hulk had a few moments that were kind of cool because we got
Yeah,
Daredevil back in there, right? And that was, I mean, they didn't
Walk of
really use
Shame.
him. Yeah, the Walk of Shame and everything, right? But and we had a Hulk sighting and his son, right? But
Bad
honestly, I
haircut
think
setting.
and we at least got Wong in there, right?
Yeah,
For some reason, they decided to put
combination.
Wong in.
Yeah.
Right, they put him in there. They did not put him in Ironheart. But we have to remember, Ironheart had been in the can for like forever, right?
Two and a
So
half years. I think I said it a year last time we got together, but it was
yeah,
actually
Hmm.
like almost 3 years that it was in the can.
right, right. So if you think about it, the questions that we have about Doctor Strange and about Wong and maybe any other character not showing up, right? It might all boil down to the fact that this was most likely already planned and like almost finished when they started filming She-Hulk.
Hmm.
You know, they She-Hulk came afterwards, technically, I think, and still came out before it, which is
Hmm.
kind of stupid, but that's a fact. It came out before it. It came after it. It came out before it. So there's a lot to be desired
Mm-hmm.
that we wouldn't gonna get in this. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the pacing suffered from the writer's strike, and it suffered from them trying to do, which this is hard for me to say because every freaking comic book thing does this. They try to put as much as they can in it, but
Mm-hmm.
they didn't exactly flesh it out in the right way. Like Zeke's storyline going from this clean cut kid or young man or whatever, right, to this electric,
I mean,
sh-
she literally uproots him
yeah,
into embracing the Stain legacy, if you will,
right, right. But
which is
what
kind of
is
a lot to
she really
swallow.
doesn't though? I don't think she
Well,
does.
so, well, they're trying to make it seem like she did.
Yeah,
Basically, he was living
maybe
his quiet
trying.
life out in
Yeah,
Evanston and whatnot,
yeah.
and yeah, so
Remember,
to
I don't.
speak.
she did blackmail him into helping her.
She did
Hmm.
blackmail him. That is correct, and she did
Yep.
teach him how to blackmail. However, I don't feel like at the end who he had become was him like accepting that legacy or in any way, shape, or
Right.
form. I feel like what
No, no. But
happened there
I'm saying
was
she was trying to push him in that direction
she
almost.
did, yeah, she was trying to, I guess, in a way, but I don't feel like he landed where I think he landed where he landed because of the hood mostly, more than anything,
Yeah.
because the hood
Hmm.
forced him to become what he ends up being, right? But I feel like that transformation was just way too fast.
Agreed.
I feel like it was just way too fast, especially with the caliber of power he's wielding now. He could have really, he could really be something, like he could actually either be a guy who uses what he has to help people, or he could really be a villainous character if they wanted him to be. So I think that he
Or a
suffered,
mercenary.
or a mercenary, right? So I think his character suffered from the almost MCU joke kind of situation, where they want to try to push things and have a lot of humor in it, so it kind of softens the moments too much. I don't know. They ruin a lot of stuff with that.
Mm. Yeah.
So his character fell short for me in that sense because it happened too fast. The Hood character is a
Hmm.
little disappointing because he could have been so much more, and now it seems like he might be flipping sides with that whole post credit scene thing.
Right. And,
Because
and and I think Anthony Ramos in general. I think he. I felt like there was something there on from his talent, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
feel like if he had get like you said, if the writing had been more in line and had been more reinforcing character choices, so to speak,
yeah,
I think that some of his scenes would have been even more powerful. I think for sure.
yeah. And the tech development, right? I said this last time, but like, she just we got to see. We literally saw Robert Downey Jr. building a suit in a cave, right?
Hmm.
That looked like a can opener when he came out of it.
Yep.
So when he flies out of the cave, like he's having a flatulence problems with with fire coming out of his ass, and then later on we see um a more advanced suit in Iron Man 1, right? But it's like it's still it's still new, it's still bare bones. It's not here's
Hmm.
everything, right? They I think this also suffers from them trying to make Riri Williams be more of a genius than Tony Stark.
I
And I
mean,
think,
that
yeah, I
totally
agree.
falls flat. She's not a genius on the
Yeah,
level of Tony
yeah,
Stark at all.
right,
Actually, she shows
Super
herself to
young, but
be
yeah,
very stupid.
right. But I'm saying like
and
the level
yeah.
of her creativity when it comes to like putting together a new suit and at the speed of which she does it,
Mhm.
and then out of a car, or I guess making
Yeah.
a car inspired, no less.
And I think
I don't.
here's the thing. I think so. They're focusing a lot basically. Okay, so here is like the magic side of things. Here
Yeah,
is the cosmic side of things, right?
yeah.
And I feel like because Armor Wars, announced came went, now finally is gone at this point. I
I
feel
think
like
it's
that
gone,
they did
gone.
not
But it's,
develop
yeah,
the tech progression of things as
right.
as well as they could have. And I feel like if you had an intermediate stage of seeing Riri doing something along the lines of Armor Wars, basically.
Yeah,
I don't know how they would fit that in mechanically, plot wise, basically. But if they had something to further develop, basically and explain her prowess and her approach and whatnot, and really kind of reinforce that, it would have made some of her actions in this series way more believable.
I agree. I agree. I think that. Well, first of all, I don't know if Armored Wars is actually officially dead. Last I heard, they were trying to make it into a movie,
Yeah,
and they haven't actually officially said that that movie's not happening. However, the way I see it is anything that's not actually officially announced yet with a release date at
yeah.
this point, right? With them racing towards Secret Wars, I don't think it's happening, and I think that those
Mm.
characters are going to get recast
And
after
you
movies.
brought up a good point, I think, early on, Q, that about, well, what about Rhodey? I mean, if
Yeah,
Rhodey's a Skrull, how does this work?
right. Well,
Oh my god, they wasted his character so
Okay, we
much.
can all agree that
yeah.
Ironheart was better than Secret Invasion for sure, though.
Oh yeah, and I'm surprised that I'm saying that.
Uh,
I am surprised that
uh,
I'm saying that. Um,
there are
uh,
some. There was. Yeah, there was some parts I liked about Secret Wars. I'm not gonna lie. Not Secret Wars. Secret Invasion. There was some
okay,
Yeah.
parts I
you know
enjoyed.
what?
You know.
Let,
Yeah.
let let me touch on that for a minute because
Okay.
I know what your hesitation is. Is
Okay.
that they started from a higher point.
Uh
They
huh.
had so much more to work with
Yeah.
than Ironheart. So you can't get your mind to think, okay, yeah, this was terrible. This was worse than Ironheart. I totally get that, but because it was
Yeah.
so bad and they had so much more to work with,
Yeah.
that's what puts me in the column of yes, unfortunately, and I for me to even say it, it
Mm-hmm.
hurts my brain.
Got you. Yeah.
Ironheart was better
Interesting.
because
I feel.
it actually had more potential.
Yeah.
Mm,
I felt they could have done other stuff with it. I agree with your six
yeah.
out of ten.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, I am surprised at that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Secret Invasion was just such a disappointment in
Yeah.
so many ways.
I feel like Secret Invasion only failed me, and it failed me in who they decided to have be the villain, and then how they used the villain, and then it failed me in who they used to be the backup. You know, and it's interesting how that developed, but I feel like it was an almost hit, is what I'm trying to say. It was an almost hit. If not
Mm,
for a number of things, which end up being really big things, right? Because it's part of the final plot, right? But it
hmm
was an almost hit. It was interesting how that could have been so much better with just a few adjustments, like
mm,
just a few tiny adjustments, and that would have been so much better.
mm.
But whatever, it's come and gone.
I feel
They're
like
not.
I feel like the Mike Porter within me
Yeah,
is a little kinder. So I'm gonna I have it at a 6.5. So I'm a little bit kinder, but
yeah,
I'm still kind of nearly there with you guys. So
yeah. Ironheart, you have it 6.5.
I heard 6.5.
Okay.
I definitely. I'm again. I think it's because because I did read most of that first comics run. I
Okay.
wanted to like it a lot more. I think that's kind of what
Okay.
pushed me to that 0.5. I think.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I'm with you. I think that sticking the landing is a huge problem, obviously, with a lot of these TV series like we
Yeah.
discussed. But I think that
Yeah.
even the journey to get there, and writing wise, like you were saying, and a lot of these other execution pieces, yeah, it can be a struggle for sure.
So listen, here's my question: do you like Riri better in, or more, I should say, in Black Panther, or do you like her more in Ironheart?
I mean, Black Panther. I think that the they were trying to basically paint the depth of her character. And again, if I was going to take the copium, for this series and try and really sell this to people, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is just like, WandaVision is Wanda unpacking her trauma. Basically, this is Riri's way of having packed down her trauma for so long and not confronted it at all. It's all coming back and hitting her. So you could say, oh, this is what it's meant to be. But at the same time, like, again, the character choices and the plot devices and the writing basically didn't necessarily paint that picture well enough. I mean, I could maybe be talking into thinking about that, but it's still not, cohesive, I think, in my mind.
Interesting. What about you, Felicity?
Uh I would say she plays her part better in
Okay.
Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
Uh, I there isn't enough there with her character for me in the show,
Hmm.
but they could have placed some pieces around her that would have made it more palatable for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, now, before we move on, I got a theory. Actually, it's kind of a sarcastic theory. Okay,
Piano
so
beat.
take it with all the sarcasm that you would like
Okay.
to take to give with it.
Okay.
But because we've said that she was basically a villain in this show,
Right. Right.
uh, and my theory is that maybe Kevin Feige, in order to save the MCU, is going to get us into these Avengers films, these next set of Avengers films, and be like, okay, you know what? All those people, all those heroes that I introduced,
Yeah.
they're actually villains. And now we're going to
Interesting.
have Doctor Doom just dust all of them. And that solves the problem that a lot of people have, is that these lightweight characters go away, and
Yeah.
now we can start fresh. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe Feige's the real Doctor Doom. Maybe he's got some plans. Maybe he's got some real plans to
Maybe.
save the MCU. I
Maybe.
don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. You know
No,
what? Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
no, I was making a Kevin joke from She-Hulk. That's all.
Okay. Well, I was just, I was gonna say that I feel like with how her character is being left off, I mean, she kind of has to come back as a villain, no? Like, doesn't she get pushed to be a villain in the position that she's in now? Or
Mm.
Well, I mean, I the, to be honest with you, that was the most surprising part of the show, is that they chose to leave it like that. That she actually makes the deal with the devil.
okay,
I just, that one choice is the choice that I'm just like, wow, that really came out of left field for me, because your
right,
friend's been
right, right,
dead for 5 years. Everybody's mourned her, and so are we going to try to bring back her
right,
stepdad too?
right.
What's going to happen
Well,
Hmm.
there?
see, that was the interesting choice, right?
Hmm.
She could have gotten her friend back, or she could have gotten her stepdad back, and her stepdad seemed to have been the more important person in terms of her path and who she became, right, and her
Hmm.
skill set. So it was interesting that um, her trauma, or the way it's being painted,
Yeah.
right, is that it all revolves around her friend who comes back as the AI for a short period of time. It was really interesting that they decided to go that route. It just, I don't know, it didn't land right to me. It did and it didn't. It didn't land right only because if I was an individual and there were two people that got murdered near, like in the same room with me, that were both near and dear to my heart, right? I would kind of, I don't know if that I'd be wanting to pull more towards one over the other one, right? I'd be kind of like, oh, can I have both of these people back? You know. So that was a curious decision on their part to do that. Um,
Mm.
I wonder what the purpose of that is, and I'm also curious as to why we didn't really get much about this trauma that she's feeling. Evidently, very much so in Black Panther too, right? Like there wasn't really
Hmm.
much mention of that, and it was just
Mm.
like, oh hey, she's got an iron suit, let's go get her. Let's put her on the team. That's kind of all that was.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think we're getting to season two.
Mm.
If we see her again, I definitely think it's going to be in the big tent pole movies.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to be it for that. Or you know, I hope they don't do this. But part of me is thinking that once we get past Secret Wars, that we don't get another Iron Man. We're probably going to be left with Iron Heart.
Bad
Mm.
move. Bad
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
I mean, because I think because then she never gets this opportunity, to like she's not she like worked for Stark Industries like we talked about before,
right,
or at the very least. So I think that there's a lot of missed mentorship opportunities, especially again we don't know again I don't know what's happening long term with Tom Holland, for example, but if he's like um you know the surrogate Iron Man now that he's gone. Basically, the key being basically that
Yeah.
Doctor Doom needs to get after, if you will. Then it just seems like it's a lot.
Yeah, she's well, she doesn't technically have the vibranium tech.
They took it back, yeah.
Yeah, Shuri told her that she had to leave that in Wakanda.
But yet they gave a suit to Captain America.
Yeah.
Right, which is really come on. Why are you going to give one a cap?
Well, I think it's like, how many decades have you been serving the world? I guess so. Like, I guess it's like he's put in his points or his hours, if you will. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of like what would be the rationale.
Yeah, he got enough points to get that loan finally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he has his Marlboro miles. He gets his jacket. Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I was gonna go down the line of thought, but I'm not gonna go down the line.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be averse if they did do Armored Wars, excuse me, at some point. I wouldn't necessarily be averse to seeing a tech, a small subplot in it involving her. I wouldn't be averse to seeing that, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about season 2. I agree.
To your point, Nicholas, I saw an article the other day where they were talking about how she's like the latest addition to what's called or considered the Iron Family, and I was curious as to why they were bringing up the Iron Family, because it's like not an official thing in MCU. But I guess with Tom Holland's first suit being the Iron Spider, I guess it really is a thing. It's just they're all separate. They were never on screen together at one time. It's interesting. Kevin Feige and the MCU, they are the best at teasing something and then kind of giving you like a little taste of something that was never really fully developed and never really had a chance to shine. Which is curious. Imagine Black Widow with Stark Tech. Yeah, I could imagine that.
Well, there was that one comic, wasn't it, where so I guess they were all when all the mutant powers and all like the superhero powers went away, Stark built like the suits for everybody, like they did What If, basically, right?
Yeah.
So it technically happened, I guess, to an extent.
Yeah, there's been a number of times where Stark has basically given somebody a suit for like a short run. There's a lot of things they just couldn't do as well, because for as much as we wish the MCU would be a certain way, right? They always had this struggle with character rights because of Marvel sales before the MCU was a thing, and they're still dealing with that when it comes to
Fox.
Yeah, well, I mean, not Fox now, but
right before, yeah,
but now they're still dealing with Spider-Man characters, right? Because there's a number of characters who aren't directly in line with Spider-Man that are still considered Spider-Man characters with that deal they did with Sony. So it complicates how they write stories and everything there, and Universal.
I'm not going to give them the rights excuse, because James Gunn came in with Guardians of the Galaxy, characters that nobody cared about, and he made us care about them. So if they'd have done the work, they could have worked with the characters that they had and not been we can't get these characters, so we can't tell the story that we want to tell.
That's a fair point. That's
a good way. Speaking of James Gunn,
good way to segue into the Superman spoilers. Yeah,
love it.
So if you haven't seen Superman, now it's time to run away. I'm going to be the one to come out the gate and say this was an 8 out of 10 for me. Wasn't without his faults. Wasn't without his faults, but 8 out of 10 for me. What do you guys got on the scoreboard for Superman?
I'm at a 5.5.
What?
Wow!
Really?
Yeah.
It
was
7.
No. It was strictly mid, and to be honest, I again, like Ironheart, I thought I was going to hate this. Okay. I didn't totally hate it. There were a lot of positive things that I enjoyed out of it.
Okay.
But I definitely have a lot of criticisms, and James Gunn is at the top of the list.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why I might be closer to where you're at, Q, is that I had lowered my expectations so much. I thought this was going to be I was to get triggered pun intended, by Gunn and
Yeah.
his, comedic level antics. Basically, I thought, I was worried
Right.
about Crypto. I was worried about basically, the Justice Gang and the quips and everything. Which
Yeah.
I was super super nervous. So I like had mentally prepared myself to like, okay, this will be like, Guardians, but just with DC characters, basically. And
Right.
that was what I was really worried about. And so I think because of that I was more pleasantly surprised by some of the more positive pieces within it. Again,
Yeah.
like again, Felicity is right. There are
There are some
pieces
things.
that yeah
Yeah. There are some things. I will say the beginning of it was different. Not
yeah
albeit not albeit it wasn't like something that's never been done before, right? Like Star Wars does
Mm.
it.
The crawl,
But
yeah
they did it in their own way though, I think. And I think
yeah
it was clever to get us to the point of the start of this particular story, and to save us from rehashing what's already been done before.
hmm
You know, Lord knows we do not need another origin story for Superman at this point.
yes
Right? I mean,
But we did get one though, because
yep
remember,
yeah.
yep
before this movie came out, James Gunn was very adamant that this was not an origin story.
Uh huh.
However,
we
he
still
chose to make a decision about the origin of the character.
Right.
So I think that's going to be a catch, a catch point for a lot of people, whether or not they lay more to the love or hate,
Hmm.
side of the
hmm
equation.
Yeah.
That decision about Jarrell and Lara, I
You're right.
did
hmm
not like it at all.
No, no,
same
that was
yeah
different. It also makes me wonder though if his Lex lies, right? Clearly
right
he lies. He lied in the movie to Superman directly, right? Lex lies. So his robots his robots are translating that message for us when we first see that message. When we first discover that there's a piece of it that's broken and that they've not debugged, right? So we hear that first half of the message and what it is and why Superman would think that they were good people. The second half of the message, though, we hear it in Kryptonian, but the translation is happening by Earthlings.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? So in my eyes, I just assumed that this is Lex taking this bit of the message that was lost, which he would assume Superman probably never saw because it was broken,
right
and just adding a voiceover over it to give him his excuse to do what he wanted to do. That was my take on that, which is a lot of
yeah,
extrapolation.
I feel like the
Yeah.
validity of the video,
Yeah.
like I feel like it was super lame to have the war room guys,
Yeah.
flag at everybody, really just like saying, "Oh no, this is independently verified, it's legit." It's like
Yeah.
it was like I felt like that was such a cop out
Oh,
Yeah,
because
but
it's
no.
like
Total
even
cop out.
even
Yeah.
Mr. Terrific,
Yeah.
who
yeah,
how somehow ended up being more of the star of the movie
hmm
than
hmm
Superman, he even verified, or he said, "Yeah, it's legit."
yeah,
So
No, well, I'm saying okay, what I'm saying is what we're seeing, I should say, yes, the video is legit, but the voiceover though, the
mm-hmm.
translation of it, right? Like,
right, no, I got you. You
I
know
don't
what,
know. Yeah.
I know what the point was of that
Yeah.
happening, but
Yeah.
I mean, they gave us a different example of how he could have gotten
Right.
Superman in a different way.
Yeah.
Remember when he
hmm
came in and busted in the office and he
Yeah.
was being recorded, where's the
Yeah.
dog and all that? And then
Where's
hmm
the
so
dog?
did, yes, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
We got our
Uh
Batman moment right there. Where is he?
uh
Where is he? Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Where's the
but
pooch?
Why would you
no,
say that name?
exactly. That's what I was thinking. But no, there were other ways that he could have caught, Superman up,
Yeah.
than going to the whole let's switch up the lore that I said I wasn't going to be interfering with.
Right.
hmm
Right.
So
Right.
that was a big part of my dislike.
Yeah.
Um, James Gunn's humor. How did you guys feel like that worked overall?
Well, I'm gonna say. Well, first I want to say that the vibe of this movie overall for me and this is why I like it. I think it does have its faults, but the reason I like it is because it gives me the feeling of the former DC animated universe films,
Okay.
where there's less exposition of the past. There's less of this like we have to establish all of these characters, right? Because we think that everyone's a new film goer and they've never seen these characters before, right? In the animated universe, we got less of that because they knew that people who were watching were fans and they probably knew origin stories already. And it was more like, here are all these characters that you're aware of in the environment that they would be existing in, doing the things that they would be doing in that set environment while interacting with each other.
Mm.
And it's not alien or foreign because most of you are already aware of who these people are, right? So
Mm.
we got into the film that way, and I feel like that worked. I think of all the Superman films that I've seen, um, a lot of them were trying to make it like its own thing at first, and then it was trying to be dragged into like a multiverse or multi character universe, and
Mm.
I think that's where a lot of them suffered in the past. So I want to put that at the start. I will say it did feel like Guardians at some point, where,
Mm.
but I don't feel like it went to Guardians, if you know what I mean. Like Guardians had a lot of comedy in it. I don't.
Yeah.
I feel like this kind of like straddled the line just perfectly. I didn't like it as much with Mister Terrific at some points because I feel like he's a great character, and I don't feel like he needs that much comedy. But I think that with his character, they were putting a lot of that onto him. But I
Mm.
think he was a great character. So I didn't think that. I think James did a good job with this one in terms of not going too far with the comedy. I'm sure Felicity
Mhm.
has a different opinion.
Well, I agree. I mean, I think he didn't go as far as I was scared he was going to go.
Yeah.
So that was that for me. That was like relief, but
Okay.
not like comic relief per se. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think, Felicity?
For me, he had the problem in this movie of not being able to let the emotional stuff play out
Okay.
before interjecting more comedy.
Okay.
Like I think the best example of that
Yeah.
is I have no idea what that creature that was fighting, outside of Clark's window.
Right.
I guess the
Mhm.
Justice Gang were the ones out there fighting while Superman and Lois were talking,
Oh,
having an
that's the
emotional
imp.
moment.
That's the imp. I forget. It's Mixoplex. I think it's supposed to be.
Okay.
I think that's who it's supposed to be because they
Okay.
said imp. They said imp, so I'm assuming that's who they're talking about.
Yeah, that scene bothered me
Hmm.
because you have this whole emotional thing that we're supposed to be paying attention to between Superman and Lois. But
Right.
yeah, you've got this distraction of this neon lights, and you could see the lantern ring shooting out and fighting this thing, and I'm just
I
like,
loved that. I loved
I
that bit.
hated it
I
because
loved
I'm
it.
just
I
like,
loved it because it's if you're in a universe where there's a bunch of superheroes, I just imagine that that's what it's like sometimes. I feel like that's the bit that I'm always missing from these films, where if there's so many superheroes and so many villains in this world, there's got to be stuff like that happening all the time. Like,
I'm
and
imagining
yeah.
more
sometimes you're
like
gonna
I'm wondering
be
more like this is fine meme where the dog is
yeah
sitting in
yeah
around the fire. That's what
yeah.
I imagine it to be, kind of to an extent. But yeah.
I took it more like, this sort of thing is happening all the time, and I'm not going to respond to everything. I need a break at the moment, kind of thing. You know, that's
Well,
what
I
I
mean, yeah. I
yeah
mean, again, there's definitely a hierarchy. Like
yeah
who can handle what kind of level of crisis, if you will.
yeah. I mean, I get the annoyance, but I also think that, or I thought that it was pretty cool to see that at the time in the theater when I watched it, because again, you rarely get a moment like that in these types of movies where that I mean, it would be kind of a bit of reality, you know? It's like, when do you stop? At what point do you really take a nap? Because there's always going to be something popping up, right? So at some point,
Hmm.
Superman's got to be like, you know what? Those guys got it. I'll step in if it seems like they're dying. Maybe. I don't know. It's
Yeah, I also
Yeah,
needed more Clark in
yeah.
this
okay.
because
Yeah.
I mean, as we all know, Clark he's Clark. He
Right.
is
Hmm.
Clark. Superman is the persona,
Right.
that's out there
Hmm.
for the world. They didn't give us enough of that.
Mm.
Uh,
Right. We
I
didn't get very much Clark at all. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, surprisingly, Lois was the most level-headed and developed character in the
Yes.
I
No.
movie.
was I
That.
have a
Yeah.
I took an I wrote a note down that I wanted like I intended and want to point out that I feel like her character was very reminiscent of the Donner Superman Lois. Like
Mm.
some
I think
similarities there.
she wasn't as pushy.
No,
She,
but I think
Okay.
she like I think what I'm saying is that she harnessed it just the right amount to have it
yeah,
be something new, but also something resemblant of what came before, and not like this version of Lois. I don't know, because when you do when you come into movies like this in this time period that we're in, right? The thing to do right now is to really go overboard with the independence thing, and to shove it in your face in a certain way that the woman character is this certain way, But I felt like she was a very strong female lead who held her own and represented who Lois Lane is supposed to be as a reporter, um, who's also in love with Superman. Like it wasn't this,
yeah. Can I tell you?
yeah,
I really didn't feel like the woman that we were just describing would be
yeah,
dating Clark, because
no,
he came off as very
yeah,
emotionally
no,
Hmm.
no,
immature to me,
yeah,
Yep.
just like Lex did. They were
yeah,
both like little boys
yeah,
almost.
Yes.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's what I want to ask. What do you guys think about Nicholas Holt?
Well, okay. I want to talk about Superman. I'll talk
Yeah.
about Lex. Though I was disappointed in Lex. He did. I think he was a good Lex. I think he was a good Lex. I think he hit all the points, all the bullet points of Lex Luthor. I think, right? And the look, I think the look was good. However, there was some parts and some bits I think were overacted. Um, and I feel like if you want a good, mature feeling Lex Luthor, you go to the Superman and Lois show that just wrapped up.
Yeah.
That Lex Luthor for me was more of like the Lex Luthor that I wanted in films than the Lex
Wasn't that
Luthor.
Lex a little like about 10, 15 years older than Superman
I
though?
mean, maybe even more. Yes, sure. But what I'm saying is like his intensity and how he delivered things. I think that
Hmm.
performance is something more that what I wanted from this Lex. Because, but at the same time, he did land it. I mean, I think he did land who Lex was. I just feel like he just overacted a little bit.
I
If that
think that
makes
was a
sense.
direction problem, probably.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
felt like the three leads did the best that they could with what they
Hmm.
had.
Yeah.
Although I
Okay. Yeah.
felt like Lex Luthor in this movie was so OP
Yeah.
for me. I'm
Yes.
just like,
And
I
he
don't.
knew instinctively which move to call out at every single moment.
I don't think he was OP. I think that's like that part, the intelligence part, and how he figures stuff out.
okay, but
I think
the
that's
pocket
textbook
universe
Lex.
already. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Well.
you got the pocket universe, but you can't figure out that your girlfriend is cheating on you with Jimmy Olsen, or you can't find the parents of Clark Kent. I mean, come on now, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. I listen. Listen. Gene Hackman did a great job as Lex Luthor.
Hmm.
Right. I'll just say that he
Speaking
did.
speaking of an older Lex Luthor, yeah.
Yeah, he did a great job, and I'm saying this for a reason, because he also was a Lex Luthor in the movies who had the clone of Superman.
Hmm.
Right? He did this before this version of the film. So the
Yep.
whole clone thing to me is a rehash, right?
Hmm.
Of what came before in the Richard Donner films. Uh, so I mean, I've seen very many versions of Lex Luthor on screen, uh, and in terms of intelligence levels, like Nicholas Holt's version of it, right? I don't know. I don't feel like it's too far fetched for who he is, especially
Hmm.
since we don't know exactly. how much history there is already there, right? We don't know how old is he supposed to be in this movie.
I mean, it feels like he and Superman are about the same age.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not exactly sure how old he's supposed to be, but I know
Mm.
he is the smartest. It's between him and Bruce Wayne and Mister Terrific about like who are the smartest people on Earth. I mean, Lord, what's his name?
Maxwell Lord for Sean
Maxwell
Gunn.
Lord's. Yeah,
Sean
I mean
Gunn. Yeah.
he's up there as well. But in terms of the top three brains on the planet, it's Bruce Wayne. Well, Lex Luthor, Mister
Mm.
Terrific, and Bruce Wayne. I mean, I'm saying that, and I'm omitting a few people who could probably be in the running as well. But in terms of like the top tier, minds that
Yeah.
would come to mind, like those three. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure because he really is the Doom of DC. I would say. I
But
wouldn't say he's the Tony Stark because Doom I think is better than
Mm.
Tony Stark in terms of
the thing
intelligence.
is though is that this is the first movie that we're getting.
Yeah,
Right.
So where do you have to go from where he's started in this movie
right.
to later? It feels
You
like
have a lot.
it's too early for him
I
to
don't.
be doing all this.
I don't know. That's why I was going back to the. I mentioned what I said about the DC animated films, right? Great, love them. However, there is also a point of like how much is too much in a movie. So to your point,
We got too
that's
much in this movie.
you know, I
Yeah.
will say the Justice Gang for me were more of a highlight than I thought they would be. When I saw
Nathan
Green Lantern,
Fillion.
yeah, when I saw that haircut at first on
I was just
like
like, I, I still like his haircut better than Scars. Just I'm going on record for saying that.
I'm just saying, like, but he ended up being a better character than I thought he would. Like he was
Yeah. No,
damn good
I
Green
agree.
Lantern
I mean,
really
I
well.
think he nailed. I think like for Gunn's idea, of what this was going to be, what Guy Gardner is supposed to be. Basically, I think this
Yeah,
is a quintessential, kind of interpretation of him
yeah,
for Gunn's universe for sure. I agree.
yeah.
What I
He,
also think is interesting too is that for me, I mean, again, I sat through and I half, I did watch a bunch of CW DC stuff, and Supergirl also did this very similar arc, but they extracted it and they made Supergirl in lieu of
mm,
Superman with the same arc because CW couldn't get the rights to use Superman per
right,
se. You could use him like as a side character, but they couldn't do a full series on him.
right,
And they also, I think there's also to a lesser extent, they also wanted to have a female protagonist in the show, obviously, but they did
right.
the same thing with things. They had Kara's duplicate. She was, raised in, an indistinct, in at the time it was more kind of a former Soviet republic kind of setup
Yeah.
versus the kind of setup they went with this time around for Barabia. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's same concept though.
Yeah, there's a lot of callback, in older movies, in this movie, and in the TV shows. There's a lot of crossover, a lot of overlapping happening there.
Mm.
I do. I mean, going back to Green Lantern, I want to say that was probably a very unexpected performance in terms of how he used his powers. You
Mm.
know, it made me feel like, oh, they finally get Green Lantern on the screen. You know,
You mean like the
because
oven? You mean like the oven mitts?
I mean, everything. Just like the fact that he was just like doing things willy nilly and just
Mm.
getting his constructs coming out, and it wasn't this whole thing of him like, let me force something to happen because I'm just learning how to use this. No, I've been here a while. Let me show you what I
Mm.
got. I thought Hawk Girl was pretty cool too. I feel like we didn't get enough for her. We didn't
Mm.
get any backstory from any of these guys, right?
Mm.
Mr. Terrific though, he was really a highlight.
He nearly stole the show along with
No, he
Yep.
did.
Crypto.
Yeah, he
And
did.
Crypto, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I thought that the execution of that was going to be
yeah,
better than it was. I gave all credit to Gunn for having the balls to put Crypto in
yeah.
the movie, but then when I
Hmm.
saw how he was used, I was like, oh no, this is terrible. This
I
is
thought it was better
terrible.
than I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be worse than that. I thought, well, first of all, the damn dog is stronger than Superman in this film. I don't care what anyone else has to say about it. I don't
He
care what
pulls.
Superman
He drags him along at a very swift pace out of the snow there.
like. let's just get this out of the way. Superman gets his ass handed to him probably 5, 6 times in this movie, and
And
for
he
it to
gets
be
saved. Yeah, he has to get saved by other. He got
he
saved by
gets saved.
Crypto, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. They make him look like he's weaker than he really is, and
Mhm.
it's interesting that James decided in the first outing of his Superman to frame him this way.
Mhm.
Right, you get that little juxtaposition of or that little breakdown at the beginning of what's happened, what's led to this moment.
Mhm.
For the first time, he gets defeated. Okay, great, interesting.
Is is this a parallel in immaturity to like the Batman?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't. That's the one thing that really irks me about the movies. He really feels like he's um super strong. He really does. And Mr. Terrific did a really good job at holding his own with his tech and everything. So having the Justice Gang in the film with Superman and Superman being manhandled the way that he was, albeit by a clone of himself, right? So we have to say
Right.
that, right? It's like I get that he was a clone, but the engineer wasn't a clone, and she was kicking his ass too,
no, it to me, the
right?
reason why I'm mid on this is because it really felt more like a DCU
Mm-hmm.
movie that happened to have Superman in it rather
Yeah.
than an
Hmm.
actual Superman film. And if we had pared it
Mhm.
down and not tried to world build so much, uh, I think we could have had a much better experience for most people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everything said, I still feel like this was a strong film. I really, I feel like if this could be if this is the launching pad for DCU and there's more to come, and you didn't just blow your whole load over on this film, right? And we saw what Supergirl's going to be like, and she's going to have her
I was
struggles.
saying Drunkara.
That's
Is
going to be something.
this? Do you think that this is Iron Man strong?
I kind of do.
Hmm.
I kind of do. For all the faults that that are here, I feel like I don't think they could have called it, like the DC Friends or something like that for it to be the first movie out the gate, right? He needed it to
Hmm.
have Superman's name attached to it. It had to be a Superman movie for the first one to come out the gate. It really had to be. There was
Especially
no
because
other.
he doesn't have a Batman or a Wonder Woman in his back pocket
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, he doesn't. So like this really had to be the first go around. And I like the fact that we got Peacemaker in it a little bit. We got Randall Flagg in it a little bit, right? And so
Yeah.
Preacher Commandos has already been out on HBO Max, and so there was
Yep.
that kind of thing, that kind of interwovenness there, and
Hmm.
we see, there's potential for Superman to. I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky to do Superman without him seeming like he's a god and nobody can stop him, right?
I
It's
Hmm.
think
tricky.
the I think that the problem
Yeah,
is that Gunn put too much of himself in the movie.
perhaps.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
He
I can
said
see that.
publicly that the dog was what led him to
Yeah.
thinking he could work out the movie. And
Hmm.
then we obviously had all the social media references, the hashtag super shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
which was real.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, he put too much of himself into this movie.
Mm.
I truly feel like he treated this like his own fan fiction.
A little
He,
bit,
Okay.
I
but
think
I
that
Yeah.
he
think that's.
kind of
Yeah.
finds models himself or feels like he's
Yeah.
modeled after Superman somehow, but I think he's more of a Lex.
You think so? You
Yeah.
think so?
No. No.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree with. Yeah.
I kind of feel like he's a comic book kid who just so happened to land himself in a position to be able to. I mean, like if he was writing comic books, right? He
Hmm.
would he would be in this position as well, but he's in the film seat.
But
I don't know.
I at
It
least
seems like
appreciate
yeah,
I at least appreciate that at least he's understanding about his own self reverence and not
yeah,
just plays himself in the Creature Commandos opening credits, but like even he voiced himself in Rick and Morty
yeah.
episode. You know,
Was that a good episode? I haven't seen it.
I haven't
it
seen, I
it
haven't
wa-
seen it
it,
yet.
it was interesting. Basically, it was an interesting episode. Basically, but it just like it definitely was very telling about his mental process. I guess as his approach to filmmaking. So
Mhm.
I get the fact that he was willing to do that. I think is a good step in the right direction. I think that for me, like again, I might be closer where Q's out on a score for this basically. So I think, but for me, I do have a
Mhm.
lot of trepidation, like you have, Felicity. So I feel like the next appearance of Superman will either make or break this first step for me. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he I do agree that he seems a little immature. And so I don't know. I don't know where this is heading. I really don't. I did enjoy it
Yeah.
though. So my score still stays 8 out of 10 for me. One of my biggest gripes out of everything that we've just said was Ultraman though. Like they could have named that clone anything else, and it would have had the same effect. Storyline would have been
Mm-hmm.
just the same. Like I don't even think they named him in the old Superman movies, right? He was just. I don't think the clone had a name at all,
Not
which
that I
was
can recall.
interesting.
No.
Yeah, and so for them to call this one Ultraman and to take that opportunity away from the crime syndicate storyline from Earth 3, or is it Earth 2? I can't remember if it's Earth 2 or Earth 3. I think it's Earth 3.
Yeah,
Um,
I think you're right.
I don't know. I feel like that. I think that was, and they can still do it. They can still call him
Mm.
Ultraman, right? It's a multiverse or whatever. But I feel like that was a missed opportunity. I think that that
Mm.
was too much. And I think that was also probably his way of trying to goad some fans to come to see if it would actually be Ultraman. Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the future, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Way better than I thought it would be, though. I'll say
Again,
that.
yeah, yeah. I will say that. I guess I think because I lowered my expectations so much, I think I benefited from that mental approach. I guess. So
Hey, Felicity, did you like Batman versus Superman, the
No,
Snyder film? No.
no, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, this film, my read on this film has absolutely nothing to do with how I felt about the Snyderverse.
mm,
I wasn't big on that either.
Yeah.
right,
I did like Henry Cavill as Superman.
Okay.
same.
I most of the casting was okay in the
Yeah.
Snyderverse, just
Hmm.
Okay.
like with this. But the storytelling,
Hmm.
and I think that probably the best example that you could give for not necessarily liking it is the whole thing that happened with Pa Kent and
Mm.
the
Oh,
tornado.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you mentioned Pa Kent because I want to say, yeah. Okay, so the Kents in the Snyderverse, it was interesting to have Kevin Costner be Pa Kent.
Hmm.
Um, and was I can't remember the actress's name who played
Diane
Martha.
Lane.
Diane
Diane
Lane,
Lane,
yeah,
right?
Hmm.
Those two, I mean, they're both great actors, both
Hmm.
great
hmm,
actors, right? And she did a great job as Martha Kent too. She did, but I gotta
right.
say, in this version of Superman in this movie, James Gunn's, I loved the Kents. Like I never saw Pa Kent performed in that way, and then like they
Hmm.
were older
Hmm.
and
I
they
gotta
didn't.
tell
I
you,
don't
I
know.
was worried. I was worried that they were going to be made the butt of jokes.
Yeah,
No, they were
And
great.
fair.
it didn't end up being like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And actually, to be honest, and this is another thing that goes into my 5.5 rating is
Okay.
I didn't really connect to the film until we got to Smallville.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
But everything leading up to that was in the marketing. We had seen everything else
Right.
Hmm.
before that
Yep.
point.
Yeah.
So I was just sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
Hey, give me something I haven't seen yet.
Right. And I agree with you that we didn't get enough Clark in this, and even
Hmm.
when he's
Yeah.
parents, it's not we're not getting very much Clark. I mean, we get like a little hint at their relationship, and how they connect with each other, but it was really it was really all superhero.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was really all superhero from start to finish in this one. There was really the human moments, except for when you were with Lois and the Daily Planet crew. And
Yet
so
humanity was like ultimately the through line that he was trying to push in the movie, which is like
yeah,
kind of the irony here is that they spent so much time focusing on
right.
the super nature of things, basically, and then but when it came down to it, basically, oh, it's like it's the power of
Yeah.
or the power of humanity's positive potential, I should say. Yeah.
So to go back to your question, Felicity, is it Iron Man one good, like the start of something good? Actually, I would say yeah, it is because if I go back and watch Iron Man right now, it's not as great as when I first saw it that first time, or the first 20 times, I should say. Because when I
Mm,
saw Iron Man right years ago, and it's crazy for me to even say that, right? I was this
mm,
kid coming into the industry that I work that I've been freelancing in now for like 18, 19 years. Um, but at that point in time, I was very fresh and I was in love with like visual effects and 3D modeling and all this stuff. So when Iron Man came up, there was a lot of just nostalgia overtaking my brain. So I ignored a lot of story points and things of that nature right in that movie. That said, like it took a long time for me to watch that back and find much fault with it, just because it was
mm.
like the Matrix for me.
Okay, but
You know what I mean? Because like
when I say Iron Man good, I don't
yeah,
necessarily mean the quality of the movie.
okay,
I mean, is it a good place to start
yeah.
the
For
DCU
for the universe,
like
right?
it was for the MCU?
I think it
Mm,
is, and this is why. I feel like Iron Man actually had a misstep in that they couldn't include some of the things that Feige wanted to include. Right? I mean, there was a post-credit scene that they reshot because they couldn't mention mutants and Spider,
mm,
Man, and all that stuff. Right? They actually had that in that Nicholas Fury post-credit scene. They were just going to mention all that stuff, right? And of course, the movie itself didn't contain any of that, and but they couldn't. I mean, his hands were tied for a lot of stuff.
mm,
So they took something that was a coal and polished a diamond out of it. Right? They had to. They had no choice. But if Feige had access to a lot of those things, I think he would have actually put more of it in Iron Man one. I think that he would have gotten John Travolta to add more in there than he did. Um,
mm,
and that said, could James Gunn have held back a little bit? Yes, he could
mm,
have. However, I think that this kind of really gives us an established landscape to come back in. I don't know who they would have in Supergirl, right? I'm not sure who they would bring back.
mm,
But when we go into Supergirl, which we kind of know is going to be the next film, right? I think that's going to be the next one. Um, we're familiar already with what Earth is like, so we
mm.
won't be too surprised to have some, maybe some new faces show up, or to have the Justice Gang in the background doing some more random shit that that might annoy Felicity. uh,
No, actually, I no the Justice Gang. I
yeah,
Now when I say that it was more a DCU movie with
yeah,
it happening to have Superman in it,
Superman in it.
it
Yeah,
doesn't mean that I disliked the universe they were trying to set up. I just thought it was
okay,
too much.
gotcha.
I felt like there was not enough focus on
On
Superman.
the title of the
Mm.
character. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
Yep.
the lead character.
yeah, mm,
So I and yeah, for him to be getting beat up and treated like crap the whole movie,
yeah,
that was not great for me.
yeah. He did a lot of humanizing with the character because Metamorpho with the kryptonite and then him getting
Yep.
kryptonite poisoning, right? I mean, that was number four. So- and then he
Yeah.
got his butt whipped again by the clone. It's interesting. But that wasn't Lex though. With him calling out the numbers, right? Those drones that he had on the scene, right? They were helping
Right.
him a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
They were
and
helping him a
clearly,
lot.
the his AI or whatever you call it, basically that he
Yeah,
had set up was giving him the information he needed because he's spent so much time studying him, like they were talking
right.
about,
Yeah,
and whatnot. So yeah, I do get it, but yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I think like overall, I think I'm like I was happier than I thought. I was way happier than I thought I was gonna be with the film, and like I said, the next if it, in Supergirl, well, I'll have to see how this goes. Basically, I wasn't again Millie Alcock, love her, and obviously um in GOT basically or whatnot, and I'm looking forward to see what she brings to this her own movie and how she writes herself from being Party Thor. I mean Party Kara. I mean,
Yes.
but we'll have to see.
I think
Release the foam.
I think that at some point we're going to get either a retcon or a clarification on Zor-El, uh, and I don't
I
remember his
don't.
mom. I don't
People
think
are.
that was real. I
A
don't think that
lot of
was real.
people are saying that, but
Yeah,
this is my thing, and I said the same thing with the
yeah,
Snyderverse. You
mm.
got to put these movies out like you're not going to get another opportunity
Yeah,
to
yeah.
fix
I
things.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I
What you
agree.
put out there, you
Is what?
gotta,
Yeah.
use
hmm
that to bring people back and not try to bring people back by stuffing so much stuff in there
Right.
hmm
that, oh yeah, I got a DCU. It's all set up. Just come on back.
Yeah.
We can change whatever
Yeah.
we want to, whenever we feel like it. But no,
Yeah.
you don't know if you're going to get another opportunity.
No, we
And
don't.
I don't
Yeah.
think James Gunn did himself any favors with the marketing leading
hmm
up to this movie.
Yeah. Well, so let's close out on this. Is it a rewatch for you? Would you be able to rewatch this film a number of times and enjoy it, or is this another film where you saw it once and you're probably good?
I really wish I wanted to see it again, but to
Okay.
be honest, I don't think I will. And I actually left the theater earlier than I planned.
Oh,
I usually stay through to the end credits and the mid credits.
right.
As soon as the movie was over, I left
You
with
left.
my
Okay.
husband. Yeah, I
Interesting.
was just like, yeah, I
You
don't
didn't miss
need.
anything.
I know, I
Yeah, I
didn't.
agree. The mid and end credits were nothing burgers.
Yeah, so
You didn't
that's
miss
why
it.
I was like, yeah, let me get out of here. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I need to see this again.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily recommend it for people unless we I think it's more of a kids movie. It's a kids movie.
Mm,
It's a Gen Z, Gen A, TikTok generation type of movie. I think
I
those
hmm
agree with that.
people, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's built for those people.
Hmm.
And I think
hmm
everybody else is probably at the polar opposites where they're really loving it or
Yeah.
really hating it, and I just happen to be like right like in the middle.
Yeah. I think that's a
Yeah.
fair assessment. Yeah. You did.
Yeah. Yeah. But like going back to your point about the DCAU movies, right? I
Hmm.
feel like it's what Felicity said, but if you do also come from that watching group of DCAU,
Yeah.
I think that this could still be a movie for you. I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to be like a silver bullet win for these people, and whatnot. So I think that being said, will I watch it again? Not immediately. I think that maybe would I rewatch it maybe again down the line when we do get a full on Justice League movie. Probably, I might rewatch it for that level of context because I will say, okay, well, I watched these over the course of say 3 to 5 years, and how did this kind of play out over time with these other
Right.
movies I've seen in the past? So
Right.
I'll rewatch it in that context, but beyond that second rewatch, I don't think I would not do a third or fourth or fifth for sure.
I just realized my banner is spelled wrong.
Oops.
Oh
But
god.
yeah. So again, again, when Gunn announced he was doing that, taking over the
Yeah.
DCU,
Yeah.
again, I was supremely cautiously, optimistic. 'Cause, okay, it's a new take. It's not Whedon, it's not Snyder, it's not these people basically.
Right.
So
Right. Right. Right.
so like, I thought like, okay, let's get another take. Let's maybe DC can get an awkward win, even if it's a win. That's kind of what I was hoping for.
Yeah. I wouldn't go to the theater again to see it. That's for sure.
Agreed. Yeah.
Would I rent it at home if it can't when it gets not? Probably not. Would I wait for it to show up on HBO Max if it's gonna be on HBO Max?
I'm assuming it will be on HBO Max. Yeah.
Maybe. maybe I would. Maybe I'd watch it then. I'll tell you this: I've rewatched those Dune movies a few times.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm a Herbert fan, so
and
it's a non starter for me at least.
those movies are long and they drag out, and still, this movie is not that way, and it's got a lot of action, and I don't think that I would. I don't think I would just like casually rewatch it. You know, I don't think so. I don't think it's a rewatch for me. And that said, I still give it an 8 out of 10. And I still feel like it's a better start than I don't know. I don't want to say it's. I don't think it's a better start than Man of Steel. I don't think it's a better start than that.
Interesting.
Only because with Man of Steel, we got enough Superman in Man of Steel, right?
We didn't get enough Clark though,
Yeah,
We didn't get enough Clark in Man of
yeah,
Steel
but
either.
that's okay. I was okay
Yeah,
with Henry in the
yeah,
suit.
yeah.
right. Oh yeah, yeah,
So it suffered from the same things, but I still feel like Man of Steel was probably the stronger of the two first Superman movies there. Um,
yeah.
but we'll see what happens. I'm willing to give this new universe a shot.
Same.
I feel like we have a better chance of things being more coherent than they were in the Snyderverse. Snyderverse only having
Right.
the Snyderverse name because of the fact that he worked on the first couple films. He wasn't there for the rest of it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
I think that unlike it's the Star Wars sequels, basically, we're gonna have
you know
a unified vision of sorts.
supposedly.
Granted, it's Gunn's vision, so we'll get what we get with that, basically. But
Listen,
um,
I liked all three Guardians movies.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think I don't know. I don't want to call it before we
yeah.
get more.
Do you guys have any properties that have been announced that you're looking forward to? I mean, for me, basically, Green Lantern was the number one thing that I've been like anticipating and waiting for since forever,
the show
basically. So
or
the show,
yeah, the
yeah.
show. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking.
I'm
I'm
waiting
like.
on the show.
I
Yeah,
really. I've been because we never got the lanterns at all. I
yeah.
feel like it was like the one thing that the old you know DCEU just never dived into, and that was the thing that always like irked me.
I am looking forward to that show. Honestly, I'm just taking it each project at a time. To be honest with you,
That's probably a
but
smart way to do it.
I just want to see what he does with it because even the MCU feels like it's for however hard they're trying right now. I feel like they're running out of gas and steam just because people are exhausted. Fatigue with the superhero genre now. Um,
Yeah, all eyes on
Too much
Wakanda
at once.
now.
Yeah, yeah, shit.
I don't know about that. Look, but
They
you know
want you to
what?
have all eyes on Wakanda. Let me rephrase that. They want
Yeah,
you to have
yeah,
all eyes on
yeah,
Wakanda.
yeah, yeah.
You know
That's what they
what?
would like.
If there is a chance that James Gunn is out there listening,
Yeah,
what I would say is like, look, whatever happens with this movie, box office wise, just please be humble and realize when you need to step back and maybe let somebody else slide in there to do things that maybe you aren't more prepared to do. Just come off of the ego just a little bit.
yeah. Take your foot off just a little bit.
Do yeah, and yeah. Don't definitely don't insert yourself in as much as you might like to.
Yeah, yeah. I guess we'll see what we'll get. Right. I'm
Yeah,
honestly, I'm happy that we did actually get Superman and it didn't crash and burn. Um, and even if the movie ends up being just like a 5 out of 10 for most people, it's an 8 out of 10
mhm,
for me. But even if
mhm.
it's just a 5 out of 10 for most people, I still think that's a hell of a
if
lot
it
better
if it
than
gets people to go to the second, third, even fourth DCU films in the future,
yeah, yeah.
that's the best outcome you could hope for. I think at this point.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. I think that's all I got for tonight, guys.
Yeah,
Anything else you want to add?
No. It was fun talking about it, and I'm glad we've actually finally seen it and not
Yeah.
had to
yep,
suffer through the marketing any
yes,
longer.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, we'll try to be back to you guys sooner than later. I mean, there's still tons of stuff coming out. Maybe Felicity will watch Foundation. We'll see. Uh,
That's
but
a lot of
well,
we'll,
catch up.
that's a lot of catch up. Well, I mean, again, obviously, Fantastic Four is like the next
Oh, that's
blockbuster
right.
that's hitting basically.
That's
But
right.
yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
the official
Yeah.
start of Phase 6. Let's see.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a little lead up to that. Get
Yeah,
some more backstory and things like that, and try to figure out something else to bring you some content with. But well, hey, thanks for
I'll
hanging,
talk
guys.
about Naked Gun when I see it probably. So
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
there's
mind.
that too.
So
Oh shit! Look at that.
that's in August. Yeah,
I
but
think we
yeah.
will be back before you know it. Yeah. Don't blink.
So
Don't blink. All right, guys.
right.
Everyone take it easy.
Yeah.
Bye.
Peace off.